Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. War is here. That's what I want to talk about today. We have war in the streets, and this is just the beginning. I want to talk to you about that and what you should do about it before we get started. Oh, by the way, get yourself a cup of something. Get yourself a cup of something to sip on. You know, I always say that if you have a Stone Mountain mug, everything tastes better out of them. But I have a new Stone Mountain mug now. Y'all see that? That was made for me and given to me by Parker Kelly and her husband at this past weekend's Stonemont Integrative Preparedness Annual Gathering. What a beautiful one that is, right? You see on one side it has the Stonemont, and the gate says Stonemont there on the pillar, and on the back it has a list of all my books. An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom. An Appeal to Heaven, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal. An Appeal to Heaven, Blessings of Freedom, Hostages of Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. And how beautiful that is. It gave me an idea. So Kelly said, she says, you want to start making those? And some of you may know that one of our businesses is a printing business. And yeah, I said, yes, I think we're going to start putting these out. Can't promise them by Christmas. Don't know. It's a matter of getting new equipment and everything like that. And we've never done this. So there's going to be a small learning curve. But I think we'll move into this because this was just so beautiful. I can't not do it. I know that's a double negative. Let me take a sip and we'll get started. And just to remind you before we do get started that this and all my videos are brought to you by our sponsor, the Stonemont series. If you haven't read them, you should. And you can get them either through Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. And those links are down below. I'm going to say a little something about them later, but I want to get to this topic. War. War, for a long time, I and many other channels and people have talked about war is coming. Is war coming? War this, war that. War in the Middle East, war Russia-Ukraine. Are we going to have a civil war? Are we going to have a revolution in our country, the United States, and also in your all's country? If you don't live here in the United States, if you live in the UK or Germany or Canada or Australia, the same thing's going on in your countries, and probably I don't know whether the same things will happen. But, we're going to see, right? We're going to see. The West is under attack. We know who it's under attack by. And what happens will depend on what we do. So we've talked about this, and my good friend Mike Morton, who wrote the book Balkanized. If you've read his book, you know. And if you haven't, you should. Again, go to, I'll say, at our gathering, I was amazed at the quality of people we have, and how informed they all were. You know how you get informed? Read books by people who know. Simple as that. Don't watch trash. Don't watch people who are just trying to scare you and tell you about all the problems, but don't give you any solutions. Okay? Read. Matter of fact, Parker Kelly gave me a book that I had never read. I've always meant to read it for years, and it's Chaos, the story of Charles Manson and the CIA and all that, right? By the way, I just put up something very interesting that you will want to see on our Patreon channel. Those of you who are on Patreon, you'll see it. Those of you who would like to be, it only costs you $1 a month to get up there. You will want to see it. And those of you who don't want to, no harm done. Okay, we're still friends. Don't worry about it. But we have extra stuff on Patreon. Just wanted to let you know. Hey, bub, it's my dog coming over and wonder who I'm talking to. I'm talking to them. So, if you've read Mike's book, Balkanized, you've seen it. If you haven't, go to Amazon and look up Balkanized Michael Morton. I'm blessed to have many very smart friends, and I learn from them. I was talking with a friend of mine the other day, and he is a retired Special Forces colonel. but he's not out of the game. He's still in the game, been in the game for 50 years. I can't tell you any more than that, but let me just say that he is in a position to know more than most. And he and I agreed that we would both be surprised if the United States continued to exist in its current form 20 years from now. And we talked about what, maybe should be done about it. I might touch on some of that here. We'll see. At the gathering, one of our people there is a professor of military history, and he told me that it was his opinion from studying everything over the centuries that we are on the cusp of a potential color revolution. If you don't know what that is, just go look it up. But I would say I would go farther than that. We no longer have to wonder whether we're going to be at war here in our country. We can still wonder whether it's going to be a civil war or a revolution, or simply an insurrection, an insurgency, a counterinsurgency. All these terms, they really don't matter when you're, well, I mean, they matter, on upper levels, depending on how you deal with them and who's dealing with them and how those people are dealing with all that. But when it comes down to the individual, it doesn't matter if you're fighting people. It doesn't matter whether it's a civil war, a revolution, a counterinsurgency. None of that matters. Okay. Now I encourage you to, learn about it. But it was his opinion. He says I believe we are on the possible cusp of a color revolution. So anyway, I think we're beyond that. It's already started. We are at war. We have war in the streets. We've seen escalating violence from the left for a long time. Okay, we saw that thing to where the ICE agents were boxed in. Was that Portland or Chicago? I forget. It doesn't matter. Here again, it doesn't matter. It was somewhere and it happened. That's what matters. And of course they dealt with it. And there was misinformation put out on prepper channels over that thing. And what the problem there is, it leads people to think they know things that they don't, okay, that aren't true. So be very careful what you listen to and who you listen to. Times are getting more serious, guys. And you need to listen to the right people. Otherwise, well, you'll simply be misinformed, and that's even worse than being uninformed, because it doesn't just leave you on the path stagnant, not going anywhere. It takes you down a wrong path. Another sip. I don't remember whether I put it up on Patreon today or not. If not, I'll probably put it up tomorrow. But there's a saying that the two things in history that have been more responsible for more death than any other thing has been Islam and communism. We have both of those working here in our country right now, and in many ways they're working together. Now, down the road they will split, because Islam is not communistic at all, but they are very good at using people to help them infiltrate and the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing. And commies are very good at that too. So it's interesting that we have two pretty diametrically opposed worldviews coming together in an attempted destruction of the United States. So back to the ICE agents that were getting boxed in. And now there are violent attacks against them. There are bounties being put up on ICE agents. Don't think that these are individual situations. Okay? And by that I mean, don't think that they are not a part of a coordinated plan of attack. They are. They might be individual. They might look individual at the time, but they are not. They're all a part of an overall plan. And most people aren't going to realize that until it's way too late. And most people aren't going to really prepare to address that until it's way too late. I had a friend of mine at the gathering that gave a talk on violence. He was one of the real bangers during the blood and guts era or post blood and guts. But full contact karate, professional boxer, kickboxer, former special forces, all that. And I said, George, uh, let's talk to people a little bit about violence. And so he did, and he put it out there. And many people don't understand it. I've always said, if you've been with me before, that whenever you are confronted with an enemy or a challenging situation, you have three essential enemies. Whenever you're presented with an attack situation, you have three enemies. The first is confusion. I wrote an article on this way back in the 90s for Grandmaster magazine. You have confusion, then you have fear, and then you have the attacker or the enemy themselves. And we are in the, what that means is, most people aren't used to being under attack, right? Hopefully you live a life that you're not used to being attacked. that's the goal of civilized society, right? And so when it does happen to somebody, they are confused. They go through this, their OODA loop ain't working. It ain't looping. They're going through a confusion of, what's happening? This can't be happening. This can't be happening to me right now. This can't be happening to me here. I'm not ready. All that kind of stuff. When they finally get through that phase of confusion, then they get into the fear phase, and that is, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know what to do, and I'm going to come out badly as a result. And the onslaught of a violent attack is far more than the average person can even imagine. It takes experience in being attacked to understand being attacked. Simple as that. And that's what my buddy was trying to get across to the people at the gathering. And so the same thing is going to be, we're going to see the same thing here, that the vast majority of people are, even now, just they'll see the violence on the street. They see the violence from the left. They see Portland. They see Chicago. They see the cartel violence coming up. I wrote about that in my books, the cartels and militant Islam coming down from Minnesota. And most of them, they'll shake their heads and they'll send memes and they'll send news items to friends and they'll go, "Can you believe this? This is terrible. This has to stop." Well, the thing is, it don't stop until you stop it. That's one of those things that I'm amused whenever I hear somebody say, "This has to stop," as if, I guess, there's some stop fairy out there that's going to stop it, right? There ain't no stop fairy. The stop fairy is you. If you don't stop it, it won't stop. So that's what we're seeing now. Most people, even people in the prepper world, even people who are tuned in, don't really. They might think they see it coming, but they're not getting ready. They are not ready for it. Some of the guys who were over at my house the other day, mostly military, matter of fact, and I think a majority of them were former special forces. We were talking about this, and I mentioned to one that I'm moving up to a 10 millimeter because it's about as effective as a 45 ACP. A little bit more in some areas, a little bit less in others, but close enough. But it has capacity. And we talked about what each of us carried in. Everybody in the room, what did everybody carry? You know what everybody carried? 40. You've heard me talk about 40 before, right? 40. The reason being because even though I prefer a 45, and I love 1911's my favorite gun, I know some people, tactical people that want to talk tactical, will call it a weapons system. I call it a pistol, a handgun, a gun. Get over all the tactisilliness and start thinking about what's practical. And did I just kick you somehow there? I don't know. I think I turned you a little bit. Maybe the dog came back. And I explained, I said, even though I'd like that, my 1911s only hold 8, and my 40 holds 14. And that's why, because as things escalate, I want more capacity. And so that's why I will be moving up, because of the elevated threat that I foresee, and the elevated large as opposed to a single attacker to multiple attacker scenarios. I'll be moving to a 10 mil. And I like the Smiths. Smiths, whatever. There's good ones out there. Glocks are good. I don't like Glocks. They're overpriced. That's the only. They've come down a lot. So you like Glock, get a Glock. I don't care. Springfield. One of the other guys just told me he got a Springfield 10. But I want the effectiveness of the larger, the 45/10 mil, with the capacity. Okay, you know what absolutely nobody in that room carried? Think about it and guess. Yep, nobody carried a 9. You know why? Because we're experienced. Don't anybody come on here, you 9-tards. And I don't mean that. We have a couple of people on the Patreon who have admitted to me they still carry 9. I'm sorry. This is not personal against you. I hope that you will upgrade because I care about you. And I want you to have something more effective. And no, 9mm is not as effective as the others. Simple as that. If anybody tells you that it is, they've gotten all their information out of a magazine or from the pimply-faced kid behind the gun counter. Okay, so carry a man-sized gun with a man-sized caliber. But that was just a little aside there. We are seeing the increase in attacks, in violence. Now the other side is actually attacking uniformed forces. Okay, that's the thing. We're going to see what happens when the guard. Hey, way to go, Texas, by the way. And also, we are seeing somebody. Matter of fact, I think it was Mike Morton from down in Columbia. Sent me something about it's time for a quiet secession. Well, I think it's going to be a little more than quiet. We saw that Trump wanted to send Oregon, wanted to activate Oregon National Guard for Portland. Oregon governor said nope. And so he said, okay, I'll send California National Guard. And of course, that nitwit out there said nope. But the good Texans, Abbott, said, send us. And so Texas National Guard is headed up to square things away. And don't mess with Texas, right? Right. And I bet those Texas boys are just chomping at the bit to get a piece of the action. I know I would be. I know a lot of you would be too. But now we are seeing this very interesting development. Attacks from the other side, not just, firebombing of a concrete building. Not just the acts of violence against citizens, civilians, stores, rioting in the streets and things like that, but actively attacking military and police, law enforcement personnel. That is what brought it into the area of we are now involved in war in the streets. Now, Antifa, all the little sub-commie groups, the Islamists in Congress and in political positions, this Mamdani that probably will become mayor of New York, they're going to further destroy the service infrastructure of our country, beginning with law enforcement. That's going to make it more dangerous for everyone. And then we will see. It will escalate. I have no doubt it will escalate. And you need to be prepared for that escalation. And that means have all your preps ready. Prep yourself. This is the time of year to prepare, guys. I just looked in my, I started getting the flyers from my local grocery store. This is when the grocery store is putting a lot of stuff on sale. Okay? I noticed that my grocery store down here is having their store brand pasta on sale now for 97 cents a pound, 97 cents a box, which is a 16-ounce box. So I will be going down and buying a couple 100 pounds of that. I always keep a couple of 100 pounds I always keep about 2 to 3 years of pasta on hand. And I prefer pasta to rice. It has protein, whereas rice doesn't, and also rice uptakes arsenic out of the ground, which pasta is from wheat and things. It doesn't. Not a big deal. You like rice? I love rice. I love it. When I was training hard, I ate a lot of rice. But rice is good. Rice, pasta is simply better. Simple as that. It's kind of like the 9 mil against everything else. Yeah, it's better. Rice and 9 mil are better than nothing, but there's better things. Why not get the better thing, right? Beans are going on sale. I'll get a couple hundred cans of them, and eggs are on sale for $1.99 a dozen for all those people that you hear come on their channels and say, nobody can afford to buy anything. Everything is too expensive. No, they're not. They're not. Either they don't make enough money or they live in the wrong place. So, you know the solution to that, right? The 3 M's that I tell you about preparedness, the 3 M's, make more money. And if you're living in an economically depressed area, move. And if you are surrounded by negative people, get rid of them. Increase the quality of your life by what you're doing, where you live, and who you're hanging around and who you're listening to. That would be a good bunch of books to read to give you all the info you need, right? So I'll be doing that. But so increase your preparedness. Get ready. Have everything you need. Stock up. And as we get closer to the holidays, all the stores are going to have everything in the world on sale. Get ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Okay? Stock up. This is the time to stock up. That's why you need to have extra money so that when the sales come, you can buy. You probably got all the guns you need, but if you don't have the right ones, I would suggest that you step up a little bit. Okay, step up. Because if it goes violent, one of the first things that's going to happen, if it goes widespread, one of the first things that's going to happen is a clampdown on the buying of guns and ammo. Get it now. If you can afford it. So, yeah, we have war in the streets now. It's not coming. It's here. It's in a few places, and it's going to be expanding. It's going to be expanding to Memphis and to St. Louis and to Baltimore and many other places. And the other thing that we have now is the federal government intruding on the business of the states. I'm not a big fan of that, I'll be honest. You all know I'm an old rebel, and I've explained that war that they love to call the Civil War wasn't a civil war at all. It was states leaving the Union saying, hey, you don't get to say how we do things. We are sovereign states, and we joined this union on our own accord, and we can leave on our own accord. And it probably, that when Lincoln got up a bunch of troops and invaded a sovereign country called the Confederate States of America, it was on. We saw what happened with that. If it happened again, I think it would be much, much different. The outcome would be much, much different. We will see. We will see. But just get ready. The war is currently on our streets. It just doesn't look like a big war because CNN and Fox and all those people. Is ABC, NBC, and CBS still even in business? I don't know. But nobody's putting up, casualty numbers every night yet. Well, kind of, but now they're just being arrested. I'll put this in before I close. Right now, the forces of good, law enforcement and military, they're using great self-control. But it will come. As the other side escalates, so will they. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. We will see what happens, okay? Before I let you go, if you want to know how to completely, I told you I'd tell you more about this. If you want to know how to prepare completely for everything, I would suggest you read, if you haven't read the Stonemont series, make this the next thing that you do. They are my books. I wrote them. The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, the Blessings of Freedom, Hostages of Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles, hopefully the 8th book, Parabellum will be out in before Christmas. We'll see. I don't know. I don't rush myself on these. I have a lot to do. This is a busy time of year for me. But it's a story of a prepared family who, as a result of their preparedness, was not only able to continue to live a high-quality life after the complete collapse of everything, but was able to go out and help other people. I call it the complete guide to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything or a fragmentation of the country, right? And people have been learning from these since the first one came out in 2017. Many people have told me it is the best post-apocalyptic series they have ever read, and they've learned more from it than they would have ever imagined. If you haven't read it, or if you just like to, if you have a friend, you say, I need my friend to read these too. Good. You can get them through Amazon. That link's down below, or you can get them from me personally, and I love it when you do that. Get it from me directly through our website, stonemont.us. And when you do it that way, I sign each one for you. I write a note in each one for you. You can buy them as a set through our website. You can't do that through Amazon. And I also toss in, from me to you, the Stonemont notebook, which everybody loves. So, that's it. War is here. Stop waiting for it. Stop saying wars is coming. It's coming. It's coming. That's like looking out there and seeing it's snowing and saying, I think snow's coming. No, it's here. Okay? And I hope you're ready. If you're not ready, get ready. And you'll be glad. When the time comes, it's too late to prepare. You need to be prepared. So I don't have the mug that says it on it out here, but I've got the beautiful mug. Remember what we say. We prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So get out there. Prepare to live that life you want to continue to live. All right? Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.